guys, so today I'm going to be filming my top 10 favorite makeup brushes, and they're gonna range in brands. I'm just going to show you randomly in no particular order what are my favorite top 10. So let's get started. I spent about 30 seconds going through my brushes and picking out which ones were my favorite. So hopefully I didn't forget anything, and these are my actual top 10. I'm pretty sure they are though, because I just kind of left out the brushes that I used for when I applied my makeup today. Just my favorite ones, the ones I use most often, as I said. And I'm going to start off with face, and then I'm going to go to eye. I picked out 5 face brushes and 5 eye brushes just to kind of be concise. No particular order, one of my favorite brushes is the MAC 134. And it's a large paddle brush, and all these brushes are dirty because I just used them. So please disregard any product you see. This one is great for just applying all over powder. I like using it with my NARS translucent powder. You can also use it to contour. And I know you're like, oh my gosh, that brush is so big, how can you contour with that? But if you see, it's kind of tapered a bit and goes up. It's not like super bulky and huge like a big powder brush for the face, but I like putting my powder on in a sweeping motion as opposed to like brushing it on like that. But I use this for contouring, or perfect for bronzer if you're looking for a bronzer brush, like all over bronzer, which I use more often than blush, so this is kind of essential in my brush top 10. My next is my favorite foundation brush, and it's by Sigma, and it is their flat top synthetic kabuki, the F80. And everyone talks about this brush for a reason, because it is so great at applying foundation. And I like the brushes that are more dense, and I know a long time ago I used to use the dual fiber ones like this and just stipple it on and blend it in like that, but dense brushes work so much better for just getting that product on and blending everything in. So I really like the flat top. Any of these synthetic ones from Sigma are really good at applying. It's just a preference. I do use the angled and the dome, so it's really up to you, but this one I love so much. Another great brush, and it is by Sigma, is their tapered highlighter brush. It's the F35, and it looks like this, and you'll see me all the time using this for highlighting under my eyes, and I just think it's the perfect size. Plus you can use this for blush, you can use this to contour with. It's one of those brushes you can just use for a multitude of things, and it's just great to have in your kit. Specifically, my favorite contour brush. I used to hate this brush, and because I bought this to use with foundation a long time ago, it is the MAC 109 brush. I love this for contouring. It is their contour brush. I apply product on the side of this brush and kind of drag it down to get that crisp edge, and then use the top just to blend everything in. It sucks for foundation, but I know a lot of people were raving about this for foundation back in the day, back when like Studio Sculpt by MAC was really popular and people were using that all the time. But I like this just for contouring, what it's made for, so another brush that I think is essential to have in your makeup kit. The last face brush I'm going to talk about is by Real Techniques, and it's their multitask brush. And just as the name suggests, it is a great multitasking brush. I use this for powder, for blush, for bronzer, for contouring. You can just use this for anything. Like, I could even use this as my under eye highlight. If you're going to get one brush that you could replace all those other except for foundation, just pick up this Real Techniques brush, because it does everything those brushes do, and you really don't need a ton of brushes to get the task completed. I like the shape of it. It's tapered like the bigger paddle brush as well, and kind of has that shape but smaller. So as I said, great for contour, great for blush. You can use it for powder, under eye powder highlight. It's just a great brush. For my top 5 eyeshadow brushes, you will notice that I don't have your standard eyeshadow applicator brush. I don't think they're really that essential personally. You could just use a brush like this, which I talk about, which is for blending, and just use the side of it and pat eyeshadow on like that. And I personally like just a wide variety of brushes you can use for blending, because I think that's the #1 most important thing when it comes to eyeshadow. You could put eyeshadow on your lid with your finger. You could put it on with one of those sponge applicators that come with like drugstore eyeshadows, and you'd be fine as long as you have a blending brush. So my top 5, since I already picked it out, I'm going to go with this. I like the MAC 217, not that I dislike the Sigma equivalent, but I don't know. I think this one sheds a bit less, and in general I like the ferrules on the MAC brushes better because I don't find they ever come off. I've had a few Sigma brushes that have come off, and even though I'm affiliated with Sigma, I love their brushes. There's brushes that I use over MAC ones and vice versa, MAC over Sigma, but in general I find the ferrules better on MAC brushes because they are handcrafted. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the only handcrafted Sigma brushes are their Extravaganza collection, which is the gold-plated ones, which unless you want to spend like $1 billion on it, then you're not going to get the same quality in the brush handle as a MAC. But that being said, Sigma is a great place to start off if you're going to be starting your collection. That's where I started off. I didn't get sent the brushes for free. I bought them with my own money, and I've been using them since. So interchangeably, I use MAC and Sigma. Everyone always asks, what are my favorite? That's my opinion. After that tangent, back to the MAC 217. It's just great for blending. The goat hair, the white-haired bristles, pick up less product than the synthetic ones, and that's great if you just want to apply a light wash of shadow. I like the shape of it. As I said, you can apply eyeshadow on the lid, you can blend everything out, plus if you turn it sideways, you can get right in that crease and just get the perfect blended out crease with this brush. So love that. For my brows, for eyeliner, for any kind of little detail work, I love the MAC 266 brush, and it's an angled brush like this. Specifically, I use this brush for my brows, but you can use it for eyeliner as well. I just have a lot of other brushes that I do use, but if you're only gonna buy a couple brushes, may as well just get this because you can use it for both. Obviously, clean it before you do one or the other. Like if you apply eyeliner and then your brows, you could end up looking crazy. But another brush that I use all the time, basically every time I apply eyeshadow, is the Sigma Tapered Blending, the E40. And MAC has an equivalent to this as well. It's the MAC 224, and they look virtually the same. MAC and Sigma brushes, I can honestly not tell them apart. If I'm going to grab into my brush holder and pick one out, I'm not going to know which one it is, but this one I like a lot better because I find the Sigma one better than the MAC one. I've used both, and I can attest to the quality of the Sigma one over the MAC one just because I find it blends everything out better, it's softer, and it sheds less. So that is my experience with the Sigma version. So I love that one for just blending out shadows. And you want to always have a clean blending brush, one with no product, just to go back in and make sure everything looks seamless. A brush that I am reluctant to mention, but it is one of my favorites, is the MAC 226. I always say 266 for this one too, but it's the 226, and it is tapered like so. And they re-released this again, but it wasn't the same shape, and I can't stress enough how different that brush is from this one, the old one. They need to make this brush permanent and take away the other one that they had to replace it because it's just not the same shape, and I'm telling you it's not the same shape. But I love it because it is tapered. It's great for blending. If you really want to apply, like, deepen your socket or your crease and just blend it out ever so lightly, this is what you want to use. And I use it all the time. You can use other brushes. Obviously in this place, this is just me being picky, and I absolutely love it. So it's one of those brushes I can't live without now that I have it. And my last eye brush that I'm going to be talking about is It's gotten so much use that the numbers are worn off. It's the MAC 219, if I can remember correctly. It's their pencil brush. And Sigma obviously has an equivalent of this one, and both look virtually the same again. Sigma is this one right here, but Sigma is more fluffy and the MAC one is more dense. And personally, I like the dense version for applying detailed product into the outer corner along the lash line. To buff things out, I just like how dense it is. So it makes me get the job done better and less messy and more precise. So that's why I like the MAC 219 over the Sigma. But if you're being picky like me, you'll only notice these differences. But from trial and error and trying out Sigma MAC brushes, that's what I can tell over the Sigma. My personal opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It has been requested quite often. What are my favorite brushes? What company? What brand? What do I use? And I hope this answers some of your questions on the things that I use that work for me and that I really like and recommend to you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what your favorite brushes are below, companies I need to check out.
The storm